Hello, good morning. We're suffering from the classic can't hear myself problems, and even including Mark, whose headphones are not currently plugged in. Some technical difficulties this morning here at UOY.
Hang on.
Mark's just asked how headphones work. We are indeed radio presenters, everyone. It's a super exciting episode we've got planned today on this Friday morning. We will be doing our end of season awards. I know you've all been waiting for them in my dreams. So we're going to crack on with them. We've got the classic categories and then a couple of our own. Mark, I would recommend you just use the other pair of headphones right next to you.
Yeah, I've elected to do that now.
We've all put some nominations forward. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. How are we both doing today, boys? Mark, now that you can hear me, how are you doing?
I'm good, yeah. I still don't know what I can hear and what I can't hear, but you know...
It's been a classic rushed studio takeover this morning, so if there's any issues, don't blame us. Max, how are you?
Things are in the way.
Max is rearranging the studio as we speak.
There we go. Thank you, Mark. I'm just going to sit back here.
We also see the return of my incredible sound effects, my plethora of sound effects, if you will. I've got quite a lot planned, so hopefully they'll all work out and I won't be humiliated. But without further ado, shall we crack on with the show?
Indeed. Let's go.
I just thought actually as well, as I walked in here, they had some way of selecting the webcam that was being broadcast from. So I might inquire as to that so that you guys might be able to get on the screen once in a while.
What?
I'm fine.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
But everyone always just sees me.
Yeah, we just want to be the mystic voices of wisdom.
Yeah. We're always giving you the
yeah.
middle finger and stuff, so, you know. People don't need to see
I was about
that.
to like do a gesture that you were doing to me, and then I realised I am on camera, so I can't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
People who only listen to the show will exclusively know you by voice. That's quite interesting, isn't it? I think.
Anyone who just listens to us on YouTube, provided in the fact they don't already know who we are, which is probably a vast majority of our listeners.
We do have some Mexicans. Hello, if you're listening from Mexico, we do appreciate you.
I remember I used to listen to Capital FM, which used to be Trax FM, and this is years ago.
They still have Trax FM, I think, but only in like Doncaster.
And it was I think it was Trax FM anyway, and it was like Simon Hurst, who's now Stephanie Hurst, and his friends. Jojo was definitely one of them. I can't remember if it was...
Good, a gender-neutral name.
I can't remember if it was... No, she was a woman. I can't remember if it was... Was Simon one? I can't remember who it was. But anyway, I saw a picture of them one day, like for the first time in years after listening to him. I was like, what?
Same thing with my mum when she finally met you. She obviously listens to the show, big fan of the show. Thanks, Mum. And then she finally met you and she was like, oh, God, you're Max.
Oh, wow.
Not like, oh, God, how ugly you are.
Oh, dear. Wasn't expecting that.
If you have any opinions on the awards we're giving out, please do get in touch. If you have a mobile phone, the number to call or text 07851 11313. If you're listening online, uoy.org.uk, send us a message. There should be a little box. Share your thoughts with us. If you're listening on YouTube, hello. Drop us a comment in the box underneath telling us what you think. Without further ado, I would like to announce our first award. I love this song so much. Can we just listen to it a bit? Anyway,
what's this from?
BBC Grandstand theme. So we'll probably get done for copyright, but it's fine. We don't make any money off our YouTube anyway. The nominees are for the prize of MVP: Aaron Donald, Patrick Mahomes, Andrew Luck, and finally, well, not finally, Patrick Take Mahomes Country Road. Who put that joke in there? Me. And the final nominee is Khalil Mack. I'll tell you who put forward two. I put forward Big AD, Patrick Mahomes, Andrew Luck. Max put forward the exact same three, and Mark put forward Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Donald, and Khalil Mack. I've gone for Aaron Donald as my number one. Max has gone for Patrick Mahomes, as has Mark. Let the discussions begin. Why have you chosen Mahomes?
Right, I've chosen Mahomes. This is a reason. So to me, these are the two best players in the league this year. So I had to try and find a way to differentiate them.
I'm guessing you mean Donald and Mahomes.
Yeah, Donald is the best player in the league as an individual.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about value as to what he puts into his team, as great as Donald is, he did not make that much of a difference to what the overall production was on his defense. Why? Because they were still letting up massive amounts of numbers. Forget the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was great for all involved, but Donald individually, you can just see, is amazing, and he does everything he can to allow his team to succeed. But when I look at Mahomes, I understand the quarterback position is integral as it is anyway. But without Mahomes, that offense does not run the way it does this year. And when I think back to certain games, certain very close games, such as maybe the Pittsburgh game in week 2, for example, they would not win that game with Alex Smith or most other quarterbacks in that position. So it seems easy for me to put Mahomes as the most valuable player, because if you take him out, the success rate probably decreases quite a bit. If you take out Donald, not saying that he's not valuable, he definitely is, but he doesn't have the same overall impact to what the game result would be.
I think it's interesting because you've completely turned my argument on its head and kind of just thrust it back a bit, because my argument would have been that Donald is more valuable to his team because without Donald, the Rams' defense is infinitesimally worse. But you've kind of said, yes, I know that, but without the Chiefs' offense, without Mahomes, the Chiefs' offense would be infinitesimally worse.
And in which case, and by the way, I think the Chiefs at most finish 8-8 because that defense was so bad.
That's what we predicted. Most of our predictions around that year were around that mark, weren't they? Mark, what are your reasons for picking Mahomes?
I think just what he does on the field as a player. I mean...
I thought you picked him for what he's done in the commentary booth.
What he's done outside.
It's funny now, because I did want to put Romo on there. But.
Yeah, I was going to vote Romo until, I saw what he did on the field.
That's harsh, man.
In fairness, he did do a lot on the field because he was always injured, but...
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't get the same laugh. That's tragic.
Anyway.
Mahomes. I think just the plays he's done, I think he's really shaken up the position of quarterback. I think he's brought a lot more into it that people have that people can't almost copy. Like, so a bit like how Aaron Donald, people can't copy what he's doing because he's just such a physical machine. I think the same is true with Patrick Mahomes. So things like the no-look pass, things like the shovel pass, and just that ability, given that he's in second year, that awareness when he's outside the pocket and to escape. There have been numbers of times where someone's been coming at him and he just seems to have this sort of sixth sense of when there's someone right on his shoulder to roll out, to not get sacked and to keep the play alive for a couple more seconds, whether that's to get rid of the ball or whether that's to what he usually does is to try and then make a play out of it.
He's very Aaron Rodgers-esque in that sense. His ability to pass on the run, I think at this point is probably better than Rodgers, given the fact that, like you said, that no-look pass, he's looking that way, passing that way, absolutely perfect.
And the left-hand pass.
But it's funny, actually, because I was watching a documentary, it was more like an interview hybrid thing, and he was explaining how he does it. And a lot of it comes from his days in baseball. And he did it again. He had a very small target, and obviously he wasn't under any pressure or anything, but he was looking at the interview and did that right on the X. Yeah. And it's just, how?
As much as
Inhuman.
I voted Donald, I think Mahomes, I kind of agree with you in terms of what he's, not necessarily that he's added anything new to the quarterback position, but that he's amalgamated different elements that he shouldn't really be able to amalgamate. So I read a really interesting article about how Alex Smith helped him and how he basically credits Smith with everything, and I think that really tells, because he's got every physical attribute you really want from your quarterback. Maybe could be a bit like bulkier to take the hits, but that's fine because, like you said, he can kind of anticipate them and see them coming. And if I compare him, I know obviously I do this a lot, but if I compare him to Cam, when Cam came in, Cam also had all the physical attributes, but Cam was definitively a rookie in the NFL, and it took Cam a while to go up to game speed. With Mahomes, because of that year off shadowing Smith, because Reed is his coach, because of his work ethic, he'd come in apparently an hour and a half early, even though he wasn't on the starting team last year, because he took all those practice squad snaps last year. He's come in his second year, and it seems like he has the experience and the knowledge and the ability to be kind of like that field general quarterback, which normally takes quarterbacks 3 or 4 years to acquire in the NFL. It'll be interesting to see how players like Darnold, Rosen, Mayfield do in their second years, compare them to Mahomes. But yeah, you're right, he's a rare combination of every physical attribute you want. Young, so he's still quite pliable and can remain injury-free, but immensely kind of experienced.
Just on that note as well, Mahomes is a perfect example of why quarterbacks should sit and wait, because I don't think we get this if this was happening last year.
No way. Is it decided then, or?
Well, I was just going to add to it and say how... Oh, what have I lost? I was going to say something. Oh, it's completely gone.
Is the tooth fairy coming?
Yeah, the Tooth Fairy is coming. She's come and taken away all my thoughts. How savage.
Your wisdom teeth.
In fairness, I don't really think you need to add anything. I think it's, at this stage, it's pretty consensus. MVP, Nflementary MVP for 2018 is Patrick Mahomes. Congratulations, Paddy.
The kids are back.
The kids are
That's
back.
a great
Yeah.
sound
Love the
effect.
kids. Right, on to our next award as I hit the button. It's Offensive Player of the Year. Now, given Mahomes is one MVP, should we exclude him from voting on this
Yes.
one?
No.
Well, I just think it makes it more fun if different people get the awards.
That's why.
All right,
that's
then
why I
fine.
didn't put him down for it. So I was like, well, I'm fairly sure he's going to get MVP, so I'm not going to vote for him for.
Okay,
offensive
speaking
player.
Andrew Luck, the nominees are... Patrick Mahomes. Andrew Luck, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Hopkins, and his brother, no drops all regular season. That's it. Right. The other nominees were, of course, Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes and Patty Homie. Thanks, Mark. I nominated Mahomes, Luck, Mahomes, but then knowing he would be chosen for MVP, Luck, Kittle and McCaffrey. Max went Luck, Mahomes, McCaffrey. Mark went McCaffrey, Hopkins, Homie. I'd like to quickly anticipate the fact that seeing as we've all voted for McCaffrey as one of our options, he should be Offensive Player of the Year. Yeah, right, great, congratulations. Well done. Christian McCaffrey, yay, yay, all the best, yay.
No.
Absolutely not. The answer is Andrew Luck.
Interesting. Oh, children, be quiet.
Yeah, see, they agree. No,
Don't know
To be
why
fair,
that
they
happened.
did just agree with Colin on his command.
yeah, well, they were forced to. Okay, he has a different kind of. Anyway, it's actually quite difficult because I think McCaffrey has been workhorse,
The most receptions
bell
in 1
cow,
year by a running
whatever
back
you want to say.
ever.
The
The first running back with over 105 receptions and over 1,000 rushing yards.
That's nice. I was the first person up in my house today.
Brilliant. Okay.
It's quite difficult. I would lean more towards Andrew Luck, given the fact that I think this year he had so much to overcome. I understand McCaffrey had a lot to overcome as well, but physically he had so much to overcome. He was setting records in a year he had no business making records. He was setting personal bests in a year he had no business setting personal bests. And he was the driving force for what pushed this team over the finish line into the playoffs. They started bad with an inexperienced team, and he was the guy to bring them all together and take this team that's inexperienced, guys that have been thrown away from other teams, push them forward, and he was central to that.
I see what you're saying. I also put Andrew Luck down, and he was, at a time, my second choice after Patrick Mahomes, who obviously won the MVP. But what I say to your Andrew Luck is 2 words: George Kittle. One of the greatest tight end seasons of all time, I would argue. Dealing with quarterbacks significantly below the average. The most yards after catch by a tight end in a long time. I'm not sure whether that's of all time or anything. I didn't really check my stats. Made things happen on the field, consistently got open, and has Gronk level run blocking and pass blocking. He is the new Gronk, and I think he deserves to be recognised for it with an Offensive Player of the Year.
Right, first of all, he's not the new Gronk because we've seen 1 season of it, so stop with the
I will
recency
see
bias.
more. I will see more. I'd bet on it. We look at Mark for his opinion.
We look at Mark for my opinion.
We wait.
I'm not going to try and rebut either of you two. I'm just going to put forward my
But.
argument. You know, pun?
Nothing.
Were you just laughing at the fact that I said but?
Maybe.
I went for DeAndre Hopkins because
Okay, right. Well, I'm joking.
of what he's done on the field.
This is a safe space. He's done great things on the field. Not sure what he's done off it.
Just because I think this year, again, he has shown just how incredible he is at catching balls that should not be caught. The one that instantly probably springs to everyone's mind is the one that actually didn't count. But
Where he caught it with his
where he caught it on his
with his
glute,
behind.
and with one hand, it was not really possible for given that these balls move quite fast. It's not like a frisbee which floats in the air. It's a football which drops like a brick.
Thank you for that fascinating comparison. We can confirm that American footballs are not frisbees.
Yeah. So yeah, I just think for that, what he's done for Deshaun Watson in terms of being sort of a consistent receiver he can go to, and I think he almost elevates Deshaun Watson in that respect.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think Deshaun Watson has said this, that with DeAndre Hopkins, what he likes is a kind of not a perfect ball, because a perfect ball is likely to be in a space that a defensive player can probably make a bid on it because it's within the reach of the offensive player. Whereas he likes balls that are low, that are wide, that are too high.
Straight into the defensive back's hands.
Yeah, even that, because he can still probably reach around and grab them. So I think just how dominant he is as a receiver, I put him down for offensive.
Okay, so here's the sitch. We need to figure out who is going to back down. And I'm not going to lie, it's probably going to be me. Because as much as I love George Kittle, he doesn't really deserve Offensive Player of the Year. And I kind of just said that because I thought he deserves some recognition. Maybe he'll get it somewhere else. Who knows? Maybe I've looked ahead at the different awards.
I mean, I'm willing to back down and give it to Andrew Luck because...
Well, there we go.
I ain't backing down on Andrew
Yeah,
Luck. So,
I agree that he has done an awful lot for his offense.
Andrew Luck.
Captain.
Locked out.
Captain Andrew Luck.
His
You
mother
are
will be so happy.
the Nflementary. Dearest mother.
Yeah.
You're the Nflementary player of it. Children, be quiet. I don't know why they keep doing that. You're the Nflementary Offensive Player of the Year. Now, let's move on to our next award. Who could see this one coming? It's Defensive Player of the Year. Shock horror. Whoever does that? We do. The nominees are Khalil Mack, Luke Kuechly, Eddie Jackson, Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, and Jared Goff. Mark, explain why you put Jared Goff down. Because it's in your colour. I will just say.
Colour.
Although, funnily enough, there is a pink line to indicate potentially.
Oh,
that
is it?
someone
Oh no.
Yeah, it looks like someone's put that in there.
It was
me.
Colin.
By Colin. Also, can we comment on Colin why you don't have Aaron Donald?
Because Aaron Donald was my MVP. So
But he
I of
didn't
course, yeah, I know that, but you've got to back yourself. I wasn't going to put Aaron Donald in there for both awards like some people did.
Wait, you put Aaron? No, never mind.
Right, so Jared Goff, Mark. I'm guessing you put Jared Goff in there because of his incredible value added to the opposing defense, in that he made the Rams' offense so inept every time he played that the defense was incrementally better.
You mean the
I
best
appreciate
offense of the
appreciate
year?
what you're saying, but I don't think it's right. I wouldn't give it to Jared myself. I'd give it to. Well, I mean, I had Eddie Jackson underlined, but then Aaron Donald didn't win MVP. Is there even any discussion that Aaron Donald is the Defensive Player of the Year? Oh, wait, there is, because Mark, you've underlined Khalil Mack.
I have underlined Khalil Mack.
Explain yourself to the
I
the
think,
children.
It's partly because of how dominant we've seen him be this year. He has
As dominant as Jared.
as dominant as Jared. He's been all over quarterbacks, like Jared Goff.
He was all over Jared Goff.
Yeah. But also because of what he seems to have done for his team. And I don't think that... And it seems to be just something about him has elevated the rest of his team around him.
They were already good, but he made them really good.
Yeah, and I just don't think we've seen that with Aaron Donald this year. Because I think they've both been in lines where they have real star names that can be really great players. And what we've seen is Khalil Mack take those players and sort of elevate them and let them play to their potential. But with Aaron Donald, until we got to the playoffs, we didn't really see him elevate people like Sue.
Donald had 20.5 sacks.
Your argument is interesting because that's the argument I have in terms of valuable player.
Yeah.
Whereas offensive, defensive player of the year, I'm looking at you, and that's why I then put Donald down, because he's had the greatest defensive tackle season of all time. Just statistically.
And imagine being double or triple teamed on virtually every single play and still getting over a sack a game.
Pass rushing numbers as an interior lineman.
Yeah.
It's not possible. It's not supposed to be possible.
It's so much more of a threat when you have that pass rush coming from the middle, because when it's coming from the edge, you can either see it if it's on your right, and it's much easier to step around. When it's getting right up in your face and the entire pocket is blowing up in your face, you don't really have anywhere to escape from.
With that said, though, Khalil Mack was probably my second choice. So I completely understand why Mac's there. He's still probably had maybe not the best defensive end season this year because there've been some pretty good defensive ends, but he had a really good season.
He's still up there. He's confirmed the fact that the Raiders were probably wrong to trade him away.
Oh, yeah. But for me, Donald takes it just by the measurables alone, if not the intangibles.
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain.
I agree with you. Aaron Donald, congratulations. You are our Nflementary Defensive Player of the Year for 2018. And I'm going to make sure I stop these children before they yay again.
They are just happy.
It's not surprising to me that you can perfectly
there.
replicate that, yeah. Next award is... There we go. Are we enjoying this little intro thing?
Yeah.
I am. Offensive Rookie of the Year. So, dealing with offensive players who are also rookies. The nominees are Baker Mayfield, Quentin Nelson, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, and that's it. There aren't a lot of nominees for this award. I didn't include Saquon in my nominees purely to inspire some debate because I feel like it was the obvious choice given that he actually won it. I went for Quentin Nelson in the end because I love the man, like literally love him. Probably my favourite rookie out of this entire class. Sorry,
Is
DJ
it just
Moore.
because of that one play?
No, not at all. It's because of his overall. He is already one of the best. Not even one of the best guards, one of the best offensive linemen in the league, I personally believe.
Yeah,
and I think
agree,
he will perennially be an All-Pro. One of only 2 rookies to make All-Pro, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, no, maybe there were a few more. But it was him and Leonard, I think, definitively made All-Pro, which as a rookie is very impressive. As a rookie offensive lineman is even more impressive because it's very easy to fade into the background. For example, Austin Blythe, the guard the Rams drafted, had a really good year, but he was just part of a good O-line. So he kind of just faded away. But for me... Quentin Nelson, the impact he made as part of this reformed Colts O-line. Luck, being our Offensive Player of the Year, could not have done that without his O-line. Mack couldn't have had the year he had, and Hines, and who's the other one? That's 3 running backs. Hicks. What?
Hicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those running backs, that incredible run game couldn't have functioned particularly without Nelson as the pulling guard a lot of the time. I just think in terms of value added, in terms of impact, in terms of just general nice guy, in terms of let's give O-line some respect, Quentin Nelson is my Offensive Rookie of the Year. Change my mind.
See, it's funny because I had an argument in favour of Barkley over Nelson, even though I've picked Mayfield.
Oh dear.
But my argument for Barkley over Nelson is Barkley had to overcome an inept offensive line to put up numbers that make him one of the best running backs in the league. Just period. Like stop. You don't need to talk about rookie. But despite how great Barkley was this year, did he lead his team to anything better than what they were last year? No.
Can he lead his
But
team?
was there a direct correlation between Baker Mayfield on the field and the Cleveland Browns winning? I think so.
Or was it Hugh Jackson leaving?
No. No.
I asked the question.
I don't
think that
care what
helps,
it
but
was.
I think it was Baker Mayfield.
His offensive coordinator was Freddie Kitchens. Who's that? Who cares?
Baker in the kitchens.
Right. The point is, not only has he set records, which alone gives him measurables,
Yeah.
but he intangibly brings electricity to that team. You can see they back him. You can see... That Ravens-Browns game last week of the season was one of the most watched games of that
It was
week.
a super exciting game.
It was so exciting, and one of the reasons for that was because you knew that Baker Mayfield had it in him to overcome that defense and win that game.
True.
He is the face of the franchise they've been looking for since they returned to the league over 20 years ago.
Since Johnny Football. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Mark?
Why did I go for Saquon Barkley?
I don't know, really.
I think it is the obvious choice, and I think that there's a very good reason for that. It's because of he's come into the league, and when he was going in the first round of the draft in the fantasy, I was like, what are you guys doing? Why on earth is anyone picking a rookie in the first round? This is a running back, like, come on,
it's
guys.
weird because I've never heard Mark relate his football analysis to fantasy before.
Exactly. But that's what I'm here for, guys. It's the only reason I'm on the
Where did you
show.
finish in the fantasy again? Oh, not first. Who finished first? Oh, me. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that was you. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
But either way, him going in the first round, I was like, he's never played in the NFL, guys. Get a grip on reality. And frankly, they proved me wrong. He was incredibly productive behind an incredibly inept offensive team where you've got Eli Manning, who probably couldn't even hit that target that Patrick Mahomes hit no look if he was looking straight at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, have I got him down for that? Yeah, I have got Eli Manning down for an award.
Well, no spoilers, please.
Well, no, I haven't said which award.
True.
It's almost definitely comeback player of the year.
Defensive rookie of the year. To a veteran who's been in the league for what, 14, 15 years?
Yeah. Mark really doesn't understand this voting system.
There's a ring at the door.
There is a ring a ding ding. They can wait. I'll go in a minute. Oh no, Max has gone down. Yeah, I think some of his athletic plays in terms of literally jumping over people sideways.
Yeah.
His cuts, his ability, his just not give up attitude to keep sort of going.
Non-kebab attitude.
Not non-giving up attitude where even when it looks like all his options are gone, he'll make a cut and try and get those extra few yards, battling for every yard.
That's why Baker should win. Oh, you're talking about someone else.
Yeah, he's talking about Saquon Barkley, yeah.
All right. It seems like I will again have to step down from my Quentin Nelson perch, which seems to become a common theme in the show, where I pick the right person to win and have to back down. But anyway, it's fine. Saquon or Baker? Saquon or Baker? Mark, I'm sorry. You know how I feel about the Giants taking running back at 2, and I know, Max, we've argued about this in the past, and I'm sure you'd argue with me again that I still think it was the wrong pick. You can say what you want, but that hate, well, not it's not hatred. I love Saquon. He's an incredible player. I just think we've seen the point that what counts against Saquon for me is just how good his season was, and just how bad the Giants still were. Saquon had, like you said, one of the best seasons by a rookie running back ever.
Didn't Max say that these awards, the offensive player, offensive rookie, is based on the individual?
That's how Max used them, not me.
Yeah, I'm viewing the individual. What did he bring to the table?
What, Saquon Barkley?
Yeah.
I think Philip.
If you take out
yards.
Saquon Barkley, what happens to the Giants?
Yeah, but you're looking at him as an individual.
If you take out Saquon,
all right, then let's look at him as an individual. Did he break records? No. End of story.
Let's look at. If we took Saquon out and put, for example, Philip Lindsay, the undrafted free agent who the Broncos took, obviously Saquon is a better player. Obviously Saquon would probably have a better year, but would it make any measurable difference to that Giants offense? In my opinion, no. And for that reason, I have to give it to Baker. Congratulations, Baker. You are Nflementary Offensive Rookie of the Year. Saquon, try again next year. Oh, wait, you can't because you won't be a rookie anymore. Coming up next, who would have thought it? It's Defensive Rookie of the Year. Shock horror. Yeah, we like to surprise you here on this show. I've got sleep in my eye. The nominees are Darius Leonard, Derwin James, Leighton Vander Esch, Denzel Ward, and Mark has put forward Bradley. I've got a Chubb.
You're laughing at your own joke, Colin.
It's quite funny. Can we just do an hour show where I come up with player nicknames? Because that would be so funny. Anyway, right, there are our nominees. Me and Max put down literally exactly the same ballot. Leonard won, and then James and Van Der Esch.
It probably just shows that you have some high level analysis. I just can't.
I don't think it's necessarily. I put Bradley Chubb in for you because you only had 2 rookies, and I thought he would.
When I saw you put down Denzel Ward, I was like, "That's a really good shout." Especially at the beginning of the year, I thought, yeah. But as the season's progressed, go on, sorry.
I was going to say, along with Denzel Ward at the beginning of the year, Dante Jackson was kind of in that discussion.
Yeah.
Had a really good start to the year, but then I think it's not that Dante Jackson definitively faded away, along with the Panthers defense. I don't think Denzel Ward faded away as much as what he became good at or what he was known for being good at in the first few weeks, i.e. being an incredible ball hawk with great instincts, kind of took a backseat to just being a really good cover corner.
Yeah.
And, he will be an integral part of that Browns defense for years to come. But how the hell can you look past Darius Leonard? I love Derwin James. Derwin James is probably my second favourite rookie out of this class after Quentin Nelson. I was praying to the Lords that he would fall to the Panthers. He didn't. He went to the Chargers at, what was it, 16, I think?
17,
Or
16,
17.
yeah.
What a steal. Steal of the draft. He has been incredible for them, done everything. He's basically played safety, quarterback, linebacker, probably played defensive end a couple times as well. Proven himself to be one of the most useful defensive gadgets. But even probably my second favourite safety in the league after Jamal Adams cannot beat out Darius Leonard and what he has done for that Colts team.
Not gonna lie, I did just pick Denzel Ward because I didn't think that we should all pick the same person.
So you kind of
Darius
picked Darius
Leonard
Leonard.
it is then.
Well, there's no discussion. Congratulations, Darius Leonard. I don't even need to use the impact sound effect. Well, that was a really short and nice category. We might get through all of ours today. The next category, this is where we start to go slightly Nflementary on it. I'm going to wait for the rise and this is a really important category, and it, commemorates great players. It is the least valuable player. Yes, you heard me right. The nominees are Blake Robbie Bortles, Vontae Davis. Remember him?
Yeah.
I can only half remember him. Ben Roethlisberger's cheeseburger. Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. Somehow John Gruden has snuck his way onto this list. I won't even comment on that. We'll talk about it in a second. And Eli Manning. I kind of want to read all those names out again because it's like reading out a Hall of Fame nominees list. These are the real players that we should deserve. We've got 28 minutes roughly left on the show. We should dedicate all our time to talking about these greats, shouldn't we?
I just want to explain why I've picked the whole Steelers organization.
Yes, you actually have.
They all suck.
You have
okay?
picked probably at the beginning of the 2017 season. You've picked arguably the three most the greatest combination of offensive players in the league.
I used to say this was the Holy Trinity of the league.
And you picked them all
and they
for
all
least
suck in my
valuable
eyes.
player.
Right, Bell takes the whole year out. Con has the same year.
Wait,
Brown,
surely, okay. If Bell's gone
Right,
out,
I'm not
then
listening to
he
anything you
hasn't
say
been
on this
paid.
topic because
So
before
therefore, he has no value because he hasn't been paid.
Exactly, he has no value.
before we address
But I mean,
any
Antonio
of the
Brown
Steelers,
has no value because he's proven himself to be
But
an
he hasn't
absolute
cost
douche.
the team anything, has he?
Antonio Brown?
No, Lev Bell, because they didn't have to pay him. Because he
he
didn't
cost
show
the
up.
team unity, he cost the team spirit. Everyone turned
He
on
cost
him.
the team 15 million in like franchise tag.
But did they have to pay him this year?
He didn't sign it.
Yeah, so he hasn't paid. They haven't
No.
paid him anything.
No, he just didn't count as a player for them.
Right, so
But that doesn't
Le'Veon-
mean he can't be the least valuable player.
of course he's the least valuable player in that roster.
Even if you pay someone money and all they do is make one tackle a year, they've done more than Le'Veon Bell
Yeah,
did.
Antonio Brown is exactly the Steelers have this amazing ability to just find receivers, right?
Yeah.
Smith-Schuster had a better year. So we don't need you now.
Team
and
MVP.
You, as a person, are just terrible. You're awful. You're
Have you seen
self-centered.
this
You're
new,
arrogant. There's this new thing now where he's abusive to women. I don't know if that's
Oh,
true.
Lord.
If it is, if it isn't, I don't care. Get him out of here. Roethlisberger, he is abusive to women. Okay, if we want to go there, he did it before. I don't like him. He's so arrogant. He's so self-centered. You could say that about all three of them. Actually, you know what? They all get the award. You know what? Mike Tomlin gets the award on behalf of them because he's a reason. Not saying the outside things, but he's a reason why they're all problematic on the football field. Problematic to an organisation in football, and just damn right should not. None of them should be there next year.
Okay, before we delve into actual analysis, I'd like to highlight the fact that Mark, in the category of least valuable player, i.e. someone who plays football, Mark has put John Gruden down.
Yeah, I think.
And then put him as his number one choice. Not even like, oh, let me put this down as a joke. No, you have chosen a coach for least valuable player.
Yeah, I think his value sucking ability is so great that he manages to surpass. But he has actually added value to other teams. He's added value to the Dallas Cowboys. He's added value to the Chicago Bears. He's added value to the Ravens with Michael Crabtree, who's now not as bad as he used to be when he was with the Raiders.
Debatable.
Do you know what? I'm with you.
No.
I vote John Gruden. I vote John Gruden.
Need I remind
He's
you of
got
some
a
of the other
contract for 10
nominees?
years.
Yeah, the other
He's
nominees.
been paid so
Blake
much money as a
Bortles.
coach.
Blake Bortles. We knew it anyway.
We
I don't know
didn't
why it's
know
a
it.
surprise. Yes, of course we knew it. He's sucked for years.
He was a former first-round pick.
He was a first round pick.
He was,
Yeah.
yeah, number 3.
I think it was number 4 overall. Something like that, though.
Oh, that's funny.
Vontae Davis literally left a game halfway through and retired. Literally. That's not even a joke.
Yeah,
I don't,
though,
I don't
isn't
think
it?
I need to remind people of that news. It is quite funny, isn't it?
He reminds me of how we all feel at work.
You just get to your break and you're like, could I be bothered to
Yeah.
finish this shift? No, I retired.
Yeah.
Thank you. I pay for the bills. I wish, honestly, I was a fly on the wall in that dressing room. And they all come in for half time. The coach is like, it's all right, guys, we can bring it back. Come on, like, we're the Buffalo, get the spirit, blah, blah, blah. Then they're all lining up to run out for the second half. And like, Mike Hyder's like, hey, have you seen Vontae anywhere? No, have you seen him? No, where is he? Oh, I'll just go check the locker. They go back and he's just like taking all his stuff out. And they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'll retire halfway through the game. Oh, I think it's my favourite moment of the entire year. It's so funny. I won't vote for John Gruden, but if you guys are voting for him, there's not really much I can do about it.
Yeah.
Is that it? Our least valuable player of 2018 to 19 is somehow John Gruden. I should have got a boo for that one, really, shouldn't I? But at the same time, he should be commended for his lack of value. Returning now to something of a normal NFL awards category. We have got the comeback player of the year, and the nominees are Andrew Luck, Deshaun Watson, Richard Sherman, JJ Watt, and that's it.
Why are you looking confused?
Why Deshaun Watson's up there?
Because he was
Because he
injured
was
for most
injured
of
for all
last
of
year.
last year.
But his 4 years. 4 years? His 4 games were like so incredible that.
Yeah, I
I'm
know,
not
but
sure
then he
I'd say it
came
was a
back from an
comeback.
injury.
And had an even better year.
It was
All right.
Deshaun Watson definitely at least qualifies for this award.
I'm going to remind you of his confusion when we get to breakout player of the year.
Yeah, let's do that. I put forward Luck, Watson, and then my number one choice was actually Richard Sherman. And he has really not been in anyone's conversation at all this year, but has had what I would like to coin as a Patrick Peterson season.
Don't you mean a toy?
I'd like to coin, yes. He's been so good in coverage and so consistent that actually he's just shut down an entire side of the field, which I think is the most valuable quarterback you can have, because if you're shutting down an entire zone or an entire player, you're making the quarterback's job that much harder just by sheer probabilities. Obviously suffered a really bad injury at the end of last year, had a lot of drama with the Seahawks organization, went to San Francisco, which some viewed as a betrayal. Even the fact that he negotiated his own contract, people were having a go at him about. He was really not given any respect at the end of last year for who I think should be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And this year has come back from A, his injury, B, all this negative publicity, C, with a new team, and has proven that actually the Legion of Boom was no coincidence. It wasn't just Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor. He was an integral part of it, and he can carry that legacy on to the San Francisco 49ers and create a truly great secondary there, even with players like Jaquiski Tart, whose name is better than his play. Richard Sherman is my choice for comeback player of the year.
I like it. That's why I had him down as an option. I also had JJ Watt down as an option. I think he had a really great year.
Yeah.
But
Really
then he
great
gets
year.
it every other year when he comes back.
Yeah.
But to me, Andrew Luck, I said it earlier, he overcame an injury he was not supposed to overcome. Or if he was supposed to, he was not supposed to be able to do what he was doing when 2 weeks before the season started, he hadn't even lifted football.
Aren't we discounting Andrew Luck because he's
You can
already
win
won
2
an
awards.
award?
No?
You can win 2 awards also.
Whoa. Can we give someone most and least valuable player?
Can we what?
Give someone both most and least valuable player.
What, John
I
Gruden?
suppose Gruden
Yeah.
is, in a way, yeah. Least to his own organisation, most of not. But yeah,
Witty.
Luck broke record year this year for most
Consecutive
three
games with 3
touchdown
touchdown
passes
games,
in 8 consecutive games. That's a record. He had the second most
remarkable,
touchdown passes of the year. He was in the top 10 for yards. And bearing in mind, by the way, at the beginning of the year, his range in his throwing was lower, a lot lower. So the fact that he's throughout the year then been able to accumulate these yards is actually quite insane. If you think that he had started the year with the same power in his arm that he had at the beginning, he'd probably be nearer Mahomes' numbers. And the Colts would probably be finishing 11-5, 12-4. So that's
For
my
me
choice
as well, what this Comeback Player of the Year award can do, especially as someone who's only really, my NFL knowledge in terms of which players are good or not kind of goes back about 3 or 4 years only. Why I wouldn't be disappointed if Luck won it is this season he's proved to me that he is a top In terms of talent, I think he's arguably the best quarterback in the league. At the very least, top 5. Maybe after, like your Rodgers, your Brady, your Breeze, your Newton. I do think Luck is a better natural quarterback than Newton, I will say that. But I had no evidence of that before this year. There was nothing that he had done while I had been watching football consistently, week in, week out, not just highlights, that proved to me that Luck was deserving of the kind of grace that people like Max gave him. And I remember when we did our QB rankings at the end of last year, I advocated for Luck to be ranked a lot lower than Max was advocating for. And why I wouldn't be disappointed in giving him comeback player of the year is because this year he's actually proved to me that I was wrong. He is he is one of the best quarterbacks. I think we were speaking the other day about whether there are generational quarterbacks to come out of the kind of like the last 10 years or so. I think Luck is a generational quarterback, and I think he'll be remembered as one. And yeah, this has been an incredible comeback here, given that he basically didn't have a shoulder. And speaking as a fan of a quarterback who has shoulder problems, I can only give respect for what he's done.
Yeah, I think also I don't remember him ever being this good as he was this year.
No, that's the weird thing.
I think in terms of a comeback, he's come back bigger and better than ever.
Yeah.
Like people like JJ Watt and Richard Sherman, they've kind of come back to what they'd almost lost. So where they've kind of, JJ Watt is great and then he gets injured and then he's back again. Richard Sherman was great. He kind of had his decline at the Seahawks and has come back again. Whereas I feel that Andrew Luck was great, went away and has come back even better.
He plays now as a veteran. I think it's almost like having that time away has proven to him what he needs to do to up his game. He's done it. He's taken his team to the playoffs, won a road game against a divisional rival.
He's also probably playing with just such a, not necessarily a newfound kind of appreciation for the game, but the fact that he was, that close to never playing football again. Now, you could see it in the Pro Bowl when everyone else was kind of going through the motions, just having a great time because he probably thought he'd never get to go to the Pro Bowl again.
And just something on that as well, that's just sprung to mind. He's playing for the same organisation that let go of Peyton Manning because they didn't think he'd ever play again. So the fact that they retained him, I know he was younger, but the fact that they retained him after a longer period of time of being inactive.
Shows a lot of respect. So no kind of drama in this one. I think I'm happy to give it to Andrew Luck if everyone else is. Quick shout out to Deshaun Watson just for coming back and having a great season. But Andrew Luck, you are our comeback player of the year. Moving forward to the next category. There we go. Coach of the year. The nominees are Frank Reich, Bill Belichick, Anthony Lynn, Matt Nagy, Andy, did somebody say cheeseburger? Reed. And someone's put Sean McVay in there, but we're going to ignore that. I'm joking. Sean McVay is also a nominee, although I'm not sure if he should be. I personally put forward Belichick. I think he is consistently ignored for this award. For whatever reason, maybe it's his non-association with the coaches kind of union or whatever. Let's put the politics aside. The best coach, the coach of the year, the coach who led his team to the Super Bowl despite all these kind of factors. We didn't even speak when we talked about the Patriots about the whole Josh Gordon thing and how they managed that. Apparently there were loads of kind of minor infractions on team rules he made. There were also some run-ins with the law while he was at the Patriots. If you compare how the Patriots managed him to how the Browns managed him, you can tell the Patriots are just an eminently better organisation, although I think the Browns are catching up with John Dorsey. For me, you just can't look past Belichick.
Yeah, same. I'm not even going to explain myself because at this point it's just...
He's explained himself.
It's unwritten.
We don't need to sit here and justify him being the best coach of the year because he is.
So go on, Mark.
Go on. So I put forward Andy Reid because...
Didn't even nominate Belichick.
Pardon?
You didn't even nominate Belichick.
I didn't nominate.
We nominated
Belichick.
the guy that he smashed in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't going to have recency bias and, just look at one
Did
game.
you just say the word recency bias about Belichick?
Yeah, recency bias.
What are you on about?
The single Super Bowl performance.
I'm sorry.
The single Super Bowl performance as opposed to the 6 that he's won and the 9 that he's been to and the 8 consistent AFC Championship games he's gotten to. Recency bias. Recency bias.
Which is actually ironic given the fact Andy Reid won his first playoff game at home.
And has only been successful with Mahomes. But anyway, recency bias, continue.
Yeah, I think that the play calling at the Chiefs... I feel like whatever I say now, it's just going to get...
Didn't Andy Reid give up play calling last year? to Matt Nagy. And then what happened when he gave
Didn't
up?
Andy Reid give up an L to the same team that won the Super Bowl? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think so actually. Was that twice this year? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I just think his play calling really elevated the Chiefs this year. I
thought Mahomes elevated the Chiefs.
Yeah, Mahomes was an integral.
So who gets the credit, Mahomes or Reid?
Both. Because I think they used Tyreek Hill well again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That breakout player.
Yeah.
We'll go up to that in a second.
They used Travis Kelce well. They just used the piece they have.
It's difficult to use Travis Kelce poorly, in fairness.
Yeah. In terms of running backs, they showed that they don't need Kareem Hunt by slotting in other people and them still having good production. I just feel that
I just think that's symptomatic of the running back position more than
this
anything.
Year was really, really good.
Do we even need to have this discussion, given that time is expiring? Coach of the year. What's Bill short for? Is Bill short for anything?
William.
Is he called William Belichick?
I don't know, actually.
If you're called William Belichick, please get in touch, Bill. We'd love to know. Anyway, moving on to the next category. Rushing through them at this stage. Breakout Player of the Year. The nominees are Frank Clark of the Seahawks. I'm putting people's clubs because I might not know the names. D Ford of the Chiefs. Obviously, all the success was down to Andy Reid, though. So. George Kittle. James Conner. Tyler Lockett. And then for some reason, Tyreek Hill is on the end. It seems that every category just has one player who shouldn't belong there. Or in the case of least valuable player, one coach just he falls off his chair in anger at Tyreek Hill being included. I'll tell you why Tyreek Hill isn't the breakout player of the year. Not doubting the fact he had a great year. He also had a great year last year. Breakout player is kind of
how good his year was last year.
They've got to have a year where you weren't really thinking of them before, and now you're thinking of them. I initially had James Conner down for this because I wanted George Kittle to win Offensive Player of the Year, but you can't look past Kittle, can you? Incredible year for under an incredible coach.
I think it's also telling as well that his team played so bad this year, was so irrelevant, and he was still sort of making these headlines. It's like, okay, who's this guy?
Yeah,
he's been around for a couple of years.
A record-breaking season.
Yeah, definitely. And
most yards. You love your records, Max. Most yards in a season by a tight end.
And I think as well next year it's just building up to be an even bigger team than we thought it would be with Garoppolo when he gets back.
Is Garoppolo back from week 1?
Should be.
He suffered his injury quite early on. So
the other
thing.
Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say Kittle was for large parts of the season, apart from Dante Pettis, their second round wide receiver, who I really like. But George Kittle was probably their biggest receiving threat. So often demanded double coverage and still put up those numbers, kind of a la Gronk. Not that he is Gronk. Oh wait, he is. He's better than Gronk. I'm just going to say it. Oh well, he was better than Gronk this year, and I think at the end of their careers, we all look back and say Kittle was a better player than Gronk, but
not in the last 2 games of the year when it mattered, though.
Maybe. Well, no game really matters for San Francisco, does it? Because they're always rubbish. Anyone want to put... James Conner deserves a shout-out. Obviously, big up coming back from cancer, being the Le'Veon Bell that the Steelers needed, a.k.a. being a running back. Frank Clark and D Ford both had big seasons from the edge rushing, and I really like Tyler Lockett as a shout. I feel like this year was the year that he kind of took the torch from Doug Baldwin as Russell Wilson's favourite receiver. But yeah, anyone going to argue with George Kittle? Nope. Congratulations, George boy. You are our breakout player of the year. Now getting on to some of the fun categories. There we go. Now this one, you might want to take a seat if you're listening at home, because we're about to hit you up with some big names. Fail/disappointment of the year, and the nominees are the Jacksonville Jaguars, Cody Parkey, Vontae Davis is back, but he's not really. He left at half time. Kirk Cousins, that is transferred to the Minnesota Vikings. The Rams in the Super Bowl, particularly the offensive line, or just offense. Carson Wentz and the Jimmy G injuries. The amount of times the upright was hit by Cody Parkey. And then someone put the Panthers.
It was quite funny. I mean, I can't remember the last time a team went 6-2 and bombed out like that.
I can. It was the Panthers last year.
Yeah.
Sigh. I put forward Vontae Davis. I've already explained how I think that's probably the funniest thing we will see in our lifetimes. If anyone would like me to make a full-length documentary, NFL Network, you want to get in touch, I would literally love to do that. I think that's my life goal. Might just make one anyway on my iPhone.
Just stalking Vontae Davis.
Vontae, why did you leave at half time? Anyway, focus. We have little time remaining.
It's actually about Vontae Davis. He leaves.
It's just a feature-length interview of Vontae Davis, and he's halfway through. Oh, I'm gonna wet myself. Max, you put forward Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, so I just looked at it in the sense that the Vikings still had one of the better defenses this year.
Yeah, top
They
5.
still have an incredible offensive core. Their line was damaged, but Kirk Cousins, you're paying him that amount of money to
You
be
expect
the
him to.
cherry on the top, and the cherry kind of ploughed its way through a bit.
and dragged the entire cupcake down
and it all blew up in...
Mike Zimmer's face.
Yeah.
And now Mike Zimmer has frosting all over his face, and he looks silly. Also, the fact that they ploughed $84 million guaranteed into him.
Yeah, and then is now having slanging matches on the sideline with your number one receiver.
Yeah, classic.
Does anyone here Steelers?
Mark, you put the Carson Wentz / Jimmy G injuries.
Yeah, I put that as sort of a disappointment of the year. I think.
I see. I was going to say it's not really that.
It's not a fail of the year. It's a disappointment of the year because I think
I guess it's a
their
fail
bodies
of the
failed.
yeah. I was going to say
both these players had such sort of hype around them for this year. Sort of everyone's like, oh, we're going to see a full season with Carson Wentz. Let's see what he can do. Jimmy G, everyone's like, he's trained under Tom Brady.
particularly you. I was
yeah. all on that hype.
No,
train.
I'm behind Garoppolo as well. Yeah.
And so when they went out injured, sort of both Carson Wentz kind of did a lot in the season, but Jimmy G, especially early, it was just, especially as the Eagles made it to the playoffs, I think that was sort of a very big disappointment for Eagles fans because they didn't get to see Carson Wentz in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it kind of was, so that's why I put
To
that.
be honest, I'm willing to go more in that direction because I think I was probably more disappointed that we didn't get to see those things than I gave anything about Kirk Cousins.
Can I just send in the...
We've got our first kind of clash that we've had for a while. The last few have been consensus.
Wait, no, he just agreed with me.
But I'm sticking my flag in Vontae Davis, and he's just, come on, please give me this one. It's Vontae Davis, and he left at half time.
Nah, I'm sticking with mine.
Okay, great. Well.
It's funny. If we had a category for funniest thing to
Okay,
happen
next
all
category is funniest thing that happened.
I would vote for Cody Parkey over Vontae Davis because...
Oh, what? No, I'd vote for Vontae Davis.
Vontae
That's
Davis
hilarious.
literally left the game at half
Especially
time, Mark.
as it
Do I
was
need to repeat this
It
again?
was the second game of the year.
He'd just been paid a lot of money
Was
as
it in
well.
the second game
Yes!
of the year?
Against
And
the
he
Chargers.
literally, he got quite a big contract from the Bills, and he was just like, "No, I'm done."
The best thing is the next week, the Bills then went, was it to Minnesota and won?
and beat him. Brilliant. Congratulations, Jimmy G and Carson Wentz. You are joint winners based on your bodies breaking down. We have 5 minutes left. We'll quickly run through this one. It is our surprise of the year. What was the biggest surprise? For me, my nominees, well, the nominations are the Amari Cooper trade actually working, Colts recovery from 1-5, the Bears offense functioning despite Trubisky as their quarterback, Andrew Luck's triumphant return, Fitzmagic, the Chicago Bears going from worst to first despite Mitchell Trubisky being their quarterback. I did that. Raiders trading everyone away and them all becoming good. Fitzmagic, Colts Texans huge win streaks, and the Bears succeeding despite Trubisky as their quarterback. I've just added that one in. I had the Colts recovery from 1-5. I'm changing. Fitzmagic was the biggest surprise of the year.
What? No one's picked him.
But
I've now decided.
Right, Fitzmagic, I put that down because it was a surprise. And for me personally, it was great to watch. But who cares?
What's his name? Ryan Fitz. I know you said Andrew Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick scored a rushing touchdown on a read option play. Who the hell saw that coming? Not me. They're talking about Fitzpatrick to the Panthers. I think I would cry with happiness if that happened.
Right.
Really?
No.
I thought it was just the most amusing first 3 weeks of a season.
And surprising.
And surprising, yeah. I put down the Raiders trading everyone away because that they just seem to literally trade every one of their good players away. And then they became better. So I was very surprised by that.
Max has put down Andrew Luck's triumphant return as his number
By that,
one.
do you mean just the fact that Andrew Luck was good this year, or do you mean the fact that the Colts were good this year?
No, Andrew Luck personally, I was
okay.
surprised at how well he was able to overcome everything, come back almost as if he hadn't taken a step out of the game at all. And in fairness to him, he knew his limits and he pushed the boundary every week for him personally. So
the other thing we haven't spoken about is the fact that the Bears were successful with Trubisky. That was really surprising for me.
it surprises me in no way. Trubisky's in his second year; he will get better. because he's not Bortles.
It's difficult not to get better from when you're that rubbish. Trubisky is now the new
Yeah, I
Bortles.
know. I mean, it's difficult to not get better when your average is 59% completion. But somehow Cam Newton has done it.
Cam Newton's a generational
Because
quarterback.
I would pass.
There we go.
Move on.
What are we picking then?
I'm triggered. I don't care. I don't care.
Are we going to say Fitzmagic?
I'm happy to actually go with you with the Raiders thing, to be honest. Well, actually, no, it doesn't surprise me. Raiders suck.
I'm going to go
Good
Fitzmagic.
You'll go Fitzmagic.
Oh,
Max.
we'll go with it.
We're going Fitzmagic.
Time to get a win.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, you are the most surprising player of the world, just biggest surprise of the year. And our final category is, of course, there we go. Game of the year. So, what was the greatest game? As we have 2 minutes to decide this category, I'll quickly run through the nominations. Chiefs at Rams, Texans at Eagles, Browns versus anyone in overtime, Patriots 13, Rams 3. Marcus triggered. Brown at Jets, the singular Brown, not the whole team.
It was pretty much the Baker show.
Yeah, Miami at New England. I've gone Texans Eagles just because watching that game live was one of the greatest experiences of all time. It did go to overtime, didn't it? Oh no, it almost went to overtime because Foles just came in clutch right at the end. Deshaun Watson made that incredible throw. It was just a brilliant game to watch between two really exciting quarterbacks. Never thought I'd say that about Foles.
Well, no, you guys didn't watch the Chiefs-Rams game live. That was intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I've picked it. You can't... I actually watched it again the other day. It's one of those regular season games you just keep going back to.
In fairness, I'm not going to ever deny the fact that was probably one of the greatest games of all time.
Is it the highest scoring game in history?
Hey, Monday Night Football history, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure about all time every game, but
it's not the highest score I've ever scored on Madden rookie mode, I'll tell you that much.
It was just such a clash of the Titans. It was great.
Literally was. And do you know what? I kind of wish it was a Super Bowl.
I'll have to vote the Super Bowl if you like.
Super Bowl.
Sorry.
And not just
you
the
mean
Rams
you
won.
wish that game was a Super Bowl?
No, I kind of wish that was a Super Bowl. The Super Bowl itself was the complete opposite. It was a defensive juggernaut of a game. It was amazing. But at the same time, the Chiefs-Rams game actually saw pretty good defensive plays as well. So I can't argue.
All right. Well, it looks like Chiefs-Rams is our game of the year. Congratulations to both those teams. You can collect your awards from University Radio York. If you're ever in the area, drop in, say hi, come on the show. We'd love to have you. Thank you all very much for listening today. We've had lots of fun doing our awards. Haven't got much time to do an outro, but that's fine. We'll be back on Tuesday like we always are. We'll cook up some crazy idea. We'll go on our Twitter. If you have any ideas, do tweet us. Comment under this video if you're listening in on YouTube. We'd love to hear from you. Anything else you want to say? Vontae Davis left half an hour ago, so shout out to him. Thank you all very much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful Friday. All the best. See you later.